Crystal ball, what is the fate of stay-at-home moms? Stay-at-home moms are not rewarded for their sacrifice. The Florida legislature in July cut down the amount of years. So if you're married for 20 years, you're going to get 15 years worth of alimony. Before July, you would have gotten permanent alimony. So what do stay-at-home moms get? They get told that they have to go back to work at minimum wage, that they should have continued their careers. Boo-hoo, now they're going to be making very little and living on less, while their husband, whose career they have supported, is going to reap the benefits of all the years that he has put in to increase his career. So what does the crystal ball say? Continue your career. Build your income. Build a career for yourself.
You know, fam, I gotta say, starting off, that hat was very appropriate for this queen in this video. And it's amazing how she is using an example of a man having to pay 15 years of alimony is punishing the ex-wife while he's reaping the rewards. Sister, he's paying alimony for 15 years when she dropped the divorce papers. Yeah, boo-hoo. Oh my, a single mom who decided to drop the divorce papers has to rejoin the workforce because of her own decisions. Oh, that is so hard. I'm pretty sure my viewers are going to say that is almost a crime. Listen, my obvious multi-decades post-war queen, your little gripe here is going to achieve 0 tears from anybody. Why? Because men are told they have to pay or they're going to go to jail. This is all about you wanting a permanent financial punishment of men, all because the ex-wife had a big change in her peepees. Guess what? If a woman doesn't want to live off of alimony for 15 years, she can decide not to get divorced. I'm pretty sure that's better than trying to be all strong and independent. Oddly enough, queen, choices have consequences. Before we move on, I want to bring attention to the fact that 79% of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel. Come on, fam. You've seen my logo on other channels, and you're already here. Please hit that subscribe button and support the channel. It really helps out. Moving on.
The top of the article is cut off, but yes, it says, Republican women say they will switch parties after DeSantis approves alimony law. So last Friday, Ron DeSantis signed a bill into law. It is SB 1416 that will get rid of permanent alimony payments. Well, there was a giant uproar from a group called First Wives Advocacy Group. It's a coalition of older women who say their lives will be upended without their alimony payments. The law allows a judge to reduce or terminate alimony payments based on a number of factors, like the age and health and economic impact on the person who's making the payments. Even if you're married for 20 years plus, you'll probably only get 75% of the term of the marriage. There's a quote in here from one of the women that says 3,000 women across the state of Florida are switching to Democrat and we will campaign against him forever. I gotta say, I never thought that this would be the thing that would wake them up. I bet free healthcare is looking pretty good right now in your old age.
Oh, the world owes me a living.
Oh, wow. I mean, all 3,000 queens are going to campaign against the current governor in Florida because he took away permanent alimony, the thing that was hurting men, that men would have to work well past their retirement and hurt their health to maintain somebody who they're no longer with and haven't had a relationship with for years. This somehow is wrong? By the way, all 3,000 women are going to go against the governor? Doesn't Florida have a population of over 20 million? I'm just saying, those numbers are not very impressive. And she claims that this is what's needed to wake these women up. If this is what's needed to wake women up, I really would like to know what the key is to wake up the majority of the simps in the West. Not just the U.S., all Western countries. I'm sorry, but this gorilla cannot condone one party to continue to financially abuse another party, all because of something that they no longer have together. This is the era of women can do anything men can do. This is the era of a boss babe, has her own job, can get her own money. So why do you need to continue to financially punish men when you can get your own bag? Simple. I'm sorry. I have to say, that sounds like a lazy argument there. Because it really just sounds like, keep giving me alimony just because. I believe that this alimony overhaul was way overdue, among other things. Hey, I got no problem with child support. I do have a problem with treating an adult woman like another child, especially when we know that some of that money, if not all that money, is going to be spent on the brand new Chad/Tyrone that's laying down some pipe until the alimony dries up. Moving on.
In Florida, we have a new alimony law that went into effect July 1st, 2023. And so far, I've seen our local judges apply this new statute correctly. Keep in mind, everyone, that when it talks about durational alimony, it says that you can get as much alimony as your need or 35% of the difference between the parties' net incomes, whichever is less. But the judges are absolutely making sure that the person has a real need and the other party has the ability to pay. bear in mind, even if you have a need, if the other person can't pay and they don't have enough money, you quite likely, unless they're not credible, will not be getting durational alimony. And I have also seen them applying that 35% formula as the maximum. So there is a tendency in settlement or mediation to run that formula to see what that number is and to treat it as what you're entitled to get. And that's not necessarily correct. It is the maximum of what you can get, and you certainly could get less. Good luck.
I can't believe that the queens in Florida who have a tendency to drop the divorce papers all because they have to go back out there on the carousel to find themselves are crying because of alimony adjustment. Heck, you're still going to get alimony for years. You know what permanent alimony is, in my opinion? That is equivalent to indentured servitude. All right, ladies, follow my logic here. You believe that you're entitled to financial compensations from your ex-husband because you were married to him for X amount of years. He has to pay you X amount more years past the date that you got divorced. Okay, here's a question, queens. Is your ex-husband entitled to you coming over and making him dinner for years after your divorce? No. Is your ex-husband entitled to calling you over for a late night smash session 2 to 3 years after you divorced him? No. Is your husband entitled to stay over at your house when he gets kicked out of his place 2 years after your divorce? No. Then how is it that you're entitled to his resources post-divorce, but he's not entitled to any of yours? You see the double standards here? This is why I am totally against alimony. Alimony only got adjusted. In this gorilla's opinion, alimony should be done away with. I believe that the cap that Florida did is still too high. I don't think that anybody needs to receive alimony for any more than a 7-year time period. If the complaint is, OMG, I have to go back to work making only minimum wage, here's a newsflash. Men don't even get that. They get divorced. They were told, pay up or go to jail. Sorry, but the more of these videos I watch, the less sympathy I feel for women. Moving on.
All right, let's talk about the new Florida alimony law and how it may catch fire in other Republican-led states. The measure was called SB 1416, and it's a bill that not even Rick Scott, the former Republican governor, would sign. But DeSantis signed it on June 30th, and it became law on July 1st. It ends permanent alimony. Now, that sounds terrible, and it is terrible for the women of Florida who were counting on having permanent alimony because it's mostly going to affect older women. But there are only 7 states in which permanent alimony exists anyway, and those are Connecticut, New Jersey, North Carolina, Oregon, Vermont, and West Virginia. This law caps durational alimony at 3 years and rehabilitative alimony at 5 years. And as always, alimony is terminated if the receiving spouse gets remarried. Here's the part where it gets a little tricky. This new law also allows a judge to modify prior alimony agreements. And they can modify those based on the age, health, and motivation for retirement of the payer. And it also puts the burden of continuing to prove that you need alimony on the recipient. So even though alimony may have been decided at the time of divorce, it can now be challenged over and over and over again. Now, only about 10% of divorces end in alimony in the first place. You have to be married pretty much more than 20 years for a judge to really seriously consider it. 400,000 people currently across the nation are on alimony, and 98% of them are women. Now, with the abrupt ending of permanent alimony and some of these changes and ability to legally challenge things, older women in Florida are saying this new law is going to absolutely ruin their lives.
Oh, hell no.
Okay, let me follow the logic here. Women in Florida, especially older women, are saying, OMG, my life is going to be completely ruined now that I can't continue to receive money from you, who's the person who has to go out and work and earn this money. Isn't it odd that they keep saying, especially older women, but at no point do they say, wow, those poor old men have to work long hours still and pay these old women. It's all about poor old women who keep receiving money. I ask my viewers, is this gorilla in the wrong for saying, hey, let's think about these older gentlemen. They've been in the workforce for a long time. They've been working long hours all their lives. They probably have health issues too. They're probably exhausted. They supported her throughout their entire marriage. Now she expects them to support her throughout their entire divorce? I'm serious. The only people who would look at another person as a permanent paycheck are those who see them as nothing more than a financial serf. It's all pay me, pay me, pay me. Listen, queens, it's great that you took some time off to raise the kids, but that's no excuse to holding someone financially hostage for the rest of their lives to take care of you. I mean, think about it, fam. How fair is it when you mention only these old ladies are being affected and you got this picture of these little grannies in a rocking chair thinking, oh my God, poor them. But you completely ignore the pictures of the grandfathers who are slaving away at a 40-hour work week under a hood of some car or at the post office or picking up trash well into his retirement years because you're forcing him to. Sorry there, ladies. With financial freedom comes financial responsibility. Suck it up, Buttercup. Trying to make us feel sorry for a bunch of women who are no longer receiving alimony is like trying to make us feel sorry for adult offspring who now have to move out of the house, get a job, and sustain themselves. Same difference. Moving on.
I've been practicing domestic relations law, family law, for 22 years, and I can tell you that there are circumstances in which permanent alimony is absolutely appropriate and in no way abusive. Yes, in the majority of cases, where younger women in particular are involved, it's pretty simple to get retraining, to get back into the workforce if you haven't been in it, and to become self-supporting. But for many couples, when they divorce, the woman has been out of the workforce raising children. If she's older, she may be less desirable to employers. She may not have the education or the skills to be in the current workforce. And to simply tie the hands of judges, which is what the Republican legislature and Ron DeSantis have done, to make it a one-size-fits-all, absolutely mandatory, no permanent alimony rule, makes no sense. This takes the power out of the hands of judges who hear the cases, who do this for a living, who know the facts and know who can and cannot become self-supporting. And what this is doing is simply favoring second wives. And it's second wives who love this, first wives who absolutely do not. They're the ones who are being hurt. And if you think about it, the Republican legislators do this full well knowing that they're hurting women, just as they did with their 6-week ban. They are taking things away from women. And if the law stands, which it might not, but if the law does stand, the voters, the women, are going to have to do something about it.
Oh, fam, that is just fantastic. We have a lawyer here who uses the extreme cases as the primary example to hold up an antiquated permanent alimony law. Let me get this straight, sister. Because of a handful of cases that you've seen, the majority of alimony cases should be treated as such. Does that mean that because one mother physically harms her daughter, all mothers must be treated like they physically harmed their daughters? Of course not. That sounds ridiculous. So why advocate alimony to be treated on the fringe extreme cases? As this legal queen said, there are some cases. Wow, some is not the majority, sister, and laws are based on the majority. And she is right here. Although this channel is not a political channel, and those of you who have been following my content for more than 5 minutes already know that I avoid politics as much as possible, this video is probably an exception to my personal rule. I have allowed the mention of a political party only because it directly affects this law, which comes into our niche. And although this channel has absolutely nothing to do with the actual law, the discussion does affect relationship statuses. That is something that I've discussed here since day one. And for those of you who think I'm wrong about doing that, consider this. Marriage and divorce is a topic I touch on just about every video I make. And those two topics are controlled directly by the state, just like this law. It's all intertwined. To mention just the marriage and divorce and not touch alimony wouldn't make much of an audit, now would it? I mean, I don't know, fam. A queen that has a problem with alimony laws being changed to make them a little bit more fair sounds like a type of person that has issues with any future laws that would actually bring more equality amongst the genders. Go figure.
What the hell you say?
I'm just saying, if you enjoy this audit, click on the video in the end screen for more content. If you would like to support the channel, please follow the link in the description to donate to our beer fund, or like, subscribe, and share this video on other social media platforms. If you agree or disagree with anything about this audit, please let us know in the comments. I'm going to leave this audit right here. I'll see all of you in the next episode.